Hello, sports fans and baseball fans, and especially fans of Strat-O-Matic baseball. It's me, Sportsman Z, Bob Zolke, and today I'm going to play my worst ever team, the 2024 White Sox, against a very bad team, the 2022 Washington Nationals. So as you can see here, the Nationals were 55 and 107. They scored 603 runs and allowed 855. So a very bad team. Now, if you're wondering why I'm not doing the 62 Mets or the 2002 Detroit Tigers, we'll get to them, but I've done games like I did a Max game, a baseball Max, with the White Sox, I think, taking on the 62 Mets. So I didn't want to repeat that with the cards and dice. I wanted to get a little creative, go a little off script, and play another bad team, but a bad team that, that I haven't played before. So you look at the White Sox. The White Sox were 41 and 121. And they were extremely bad. So that's what we're going. That's what we're doing here. And the home team will be the White Sox. They're playing at home. A ballpark single is 1-5 for both lefties and righties. A home run is 1-15 for lefties, 1-12 for righties. So it's a good home run park. And we will see today. The pitching matchup is going to be Erik Fedde of Washington. You'll remember that Fedde was on the White Sox for a lot of the season in 2024, but he didn't end the season with them. He ended up going to St. Louis, I believe. So we don't have him available. We only have players that were available on the White Sox at the end of the season. So, and he's going up against Chris Flexen. So it's an offbeat matchup. I also avoided pitching the aces crochet against, I don't even know who Washington's ace would have been. Maybe it was Fedde, for all I know. But I tried to avoid doing that because, again, you've seen Crochet pitch. He probably pitched the game against the Mets. The 62 Mets when I did the Baseball Max game. I will link to that game in the description, but the video for that. But I wanted to get away from doing that, and so we are. And I will go over the lineups as they come up, and Washington's lineup is coming up right now. That will be Victor Robles leading off and playing center field. Lane Thomas will bat second and play right field. Batting third is Cesar Hernandez at third base. Batting fourth is Yadiel Hernandez, and he will be the left fielder. The first baseman is Luke Voigt, and he is batting fifth and playing first. Luis Garcia is going to be the second baseman, batting sixth. Batting seventh will be C.J. Abrams, and he's at shortstop today. Batting eighth is Nelson Cruz, the DH, and batting last will be the catcher, Riley Adams. And with all of that out of the way, I can now start to play some baseball. Victor Robles up against Flexen, and he gets a 5-9, and that is going to be a home run, I think. No, it is not. It is a... Let's see. It is a double. So he didn't quite have the poke to get it out, but he did rip a double. So Robles with a leadoff hit. Flexen giving up the leadoff hit. And Lane Thomas is the batter. And he gets a 210, which is going to be a single double asterisk and knocks in the run. So the Washington Nationals are not wasting any time. They're all over Chris Flexen here. He allows a run an earned run, and another hit, and Cesar Hernandez is the batter. Who knew the Nationals were so good? 6-7. And that is going to be a ground ball to second. Our second baseman is a 4.E8. So that is, that's a 5. 5 might be he makes the play. No, he allows a single. He allows a single. And I think it's a single double asterisk. It is. So, yeah, we're in real trouble here. The White Sox are really down. Flexen hasn't even gotten an out yet. Runners are at the corners with nobody out, and Yadiel Hernandez is the batter. He gets a 2-6, and that's a strikeout. Finally, there's an out, and it doesn't allow anybody to advance anywhere. So that was key for Flexen, who is now facing Luke Voigt, the first baseman. He gets a 110. That is a fly ball. B with a question mark means I could send the runner. And the runner is Lane Thomas. So let's see. He is a running 1-15. There is only one out. So it's a 1-15 with the arm and left, and that is a +1, 1-16. I'm going to try it. And he does make it. So he scores. And that is going to be a sac fly with Lane Thomas coming home. For the second run for the Nationals. And Luis Garcia is the batter. And that is a, there actually was 2 outs, but he would have made it anyway. It was a roll of 2. 1-5 is a single double asterisk. They are just all over this guy, man. Luis Garcia with a single. That sends Cesar Hernandez to third. It's the 4th hit allowed. And C.J. Abrams is the batter. He gets a 4-4 batting left, and that is a ground ball to the third baseman. Our third baseman is a 4.E19. That is a 19. That might be an out. That is an out. So thankfully this inning ends. He goes out 5-3, but the Nationals get 2 runs on 4 hits. And we're going to the bottom of the first, just the bottom of the first. So we've got the lineup for the White Sox that will be facing Erik Fedde is Nicky Lopez leading off and playing shortstop. Batting second will be Luis Robert in center field. Batting third is Andrew Vaughn at first. Batting in the cleanup spot will be Gavin Sheets, the DH. Batting fifth will be Andrew Benintendi in left field. Batting sixth is the right fielder, Dominic Fletcher. Batting seventh will be Nick Senzel, the third baseman. Lenine Sosa will be at second and bat eighth. And in the ninth spot is going to be Corey Lee at catcher. So we will lead off with Nicky Lopez. He gets a 5-6 against Fedde, and that is going to be a double. So maybe we can get on the board and match him. A leadoff double against the Fedde man. That brings up Luis Robert. And he gets a 5-8, batting right. That's a ground ball to the second baseman. The second baseman for the Nationals is a 3E15. That is a 20. It's probably an out of some kind, and it is. It's a ground ball A. So there's one down. That brings up Andrew Vaughn, the first baseman. Come on, Andrew Vaughn. And Andrew Vaughn's in his column, and he gets a home run, a 2-run shot. So the tie game here, unbelievable. I would not have believed that we would tie the game. But, you know, maybe I should have. I mean, we are talking about two very bad teams here. So, Fedde gives up his second hit and 2 runs, both earned. And Gavin Sheets is the batter, with still only 1 out. He gets a 6-2, and that is going to be a fly to right. The right fielder for the Nationals is a 3-E-3. That is a 10. Let's see what that is. That's going to be on the error rating, and he is an E3. So a 7 on an E3 is a fly ball. Fly ball out. And that brings up Benintendi with 2 down. And he gets a 5-8, batting left. That is a ground ball second. Their second baseman's a 3-E-15. That's a 15. And that's a ground ball. So he goes out 4-3. But we tied a game, amazingly. 2 runs on a 2-run home run by Andrew Vaughn. And we got 2 hits. So it's 2-2 going into the top of the second. If you wanted to see scoring, this was probably the game you wanted to see. C.J. Abrams is the batter. Or no, Nelson Cruz. Nelson Cruz is the batter for Washington. He gets a 6-5, batting right. That is a ground ball short. Shortstop is a 3-E-4. That is a 12. And that will be on the E rating. And it's a 4. Let's see, what was he? He's an E4 at shortstop. And that is a 4 roll. So that is going to be an error. 1 base error by Nicky Lopez. So Cruz is on by an E6, which brings up Riley Adams. And let's see. He's not good at bunting, so they're just going to let him hit and see what happens. That is a 5-10 for him. And that is a catcher card X. Corey Lee is the catcher, and he is a 3-E-2. That is a 12. And that is going to be on the error rating. That is a 5, and a 5 is a ground ball C. So he gets a 2-3, which moves Cruz over to second. Now Cruz is a rock up at second, so he's not going anywhere on extra bases or anything like that. But there is 1 out. And Victor Robles up. He gets a 1-4. That is a ground ball to the shortstop, A, and it is an out. 6-3. And that brings up Lane Thomas with a man at second and 2 down. And he gets a 3-3, which is a ground ball second base. And he is out. 4-3. And they get no runs in the second. They get no hits. And we are going to the bottom of the second in a 2-2 game between these two very bad teams, the 2024 White Sox and the 2022 Washington Nationals. Andrew Benintendi is the batter. He gets a 6-11. And 6-11 is a ground ball to the pitcher. Now, Fedde is a 4-E-0. That is a 13. Or is he a E0? Let's see. Yeah, he is. So, and 4 is on the E rating. So that is an out. Oh, that wasn't Benintendi. That was Fletcher. Benintendi made the last out last inning. So he went. He's a left-handed batter too, so he went 1-3. And Nick Sendel is the batter with a 5-10, batting right, and that's a fly ball to right. So there's 2 down, and Lenine Sosa up, and he gets a 5-6, batting right. That's a strikeout, and that's the first strikeout that Fedde's had. And we get no runs, we get no hits, and we go to the top of the third in a 2-2 tie with Cesar Hernandez, the batter, I believe it is, 4-8, and that is going to be a double. So there's a double for Hernandez to lead off here. Flexen getting touched up a bit. Yadiel Hernandez gets a 1-6. That is a fly ball center field. So there's 1 down. And Luke Voigt, the first baseman, gets a 1-9. That is a strikeout. I think that's Flexen's second strikeout. And Luis Garcia is the batter with a bat at second and now 2 down. And he gets a 5-6. And that is going to be a fly to center field. So they get 1 hit, but no runs. As we go to the bottom of the third in a 2-2 tie. Again, between 2 very bad teams from the history of baseball. And Corey Lee will be the batter. He's the catcher today. He gets a 6-5, batting right, and that's going to be a ground ball to the shortstop. Their shortstop is a 2E20. That is a 1, so that might actually be a base hit. And in fact, I would bet it would be. It is. It's a single. So Corey Lee with a single in the third to lead off. Third hit allowed by Fedde. And Nicky Lopez is the batter. He gets a 5-2, batting left. That is a fly ball to left field, 1 away. Lewis Robert is up. He gets a 6-5, batting right. And that's going to be a ground ball short again. Shortstop is a 2E30. That is an 8. That'll be on the E rating. And it's an E30, so nice chance for us. 9. 9 is a ground ball double play. Unbelievable. All right. So he hits into a double play. And that is the inning. I believe that's the inning because that makes 3 outs. So we get no runs in the third. We did get a hit, but we didn't get a run. And yeah. All right, so we're going to the top of the fourth in a 2-2 game with C.J. Abrams up. C.J. Abrams, the shortstop for the Nationals, 2-9. It's a ground ball to the pitcher. He goes out 1-3. Nelson Cruz, the DH, gets a 4-6. And that is going to be a single. He ekes out a single. Another hit given up by Flexen. That's his 6th hit allowed. Riley Adams, the catcher, gets a 6-10. 6-10 will be a ground ball shortstop double play, and I believe that gets him out of the inning. Yes, it does. They get one hit, but they get no runs. They're out hitting us massively, but they're just not getting more runs than us so far. It's 2-2. We go to the bottom of the fourth. Andrew Vaughn, the first baseman, is batting. He gets a 5-7, and that is a single. He is aboard with a base hit, friends. That is the fourth hit allowed by Fedde, bringing up Gavin Sheets. And he gets a 6-9, batting left, which is a strikeout. Fedde with the K, that's his second. One down, and Andrew Benintendi, the batter, gets a 5-4. That is a fly to center. Their center fielder is a 2-E3. That is a 7. And that's going to be a fly ball C, 2 away. And that brings up Dominic Fletcher. And he gets a 3-3, which is a ground ball second base. He's out 4-3. We did get another hit, but we still didn't get a run. We go to the top of the fifth in a 2-2 game. So after a wild first inning, things have settled down between Flexen and Fedde. And Victor Robles, the top of the order, is up 6-8. And that will be a strikeout. Robles strikes out. That is Flexen's fourth. And Lane Thomas is the batter. He gets a 2-7. That is going to be a double. He rips a double down the line. And he is standing at second base. It's like the third double that's been hit off of Flexen. And Cesar Hernandez is the batter. He gets a 3-7. That is a ground ball shortstop. 2 away. And Yadiel Hernandez is up. And he gets a 5-9. And a 5-9 is going to be a... Let's see. That is going to be a home run. Yeah. So Yadiel Hernandez, of all people, hits a home run. A 2-run shot that gives the Nationals now a 2-run lead. Might be insurmountable, but we'll see. We thought that after the top of the first. Didn't turn out to be true, but Flexen does give up 2 more runs. And Luke Voigt is the batter. He almost got out of there. That is going to be a fly to right. So he's out 9, but they did get 2 hits and 2 runs. And the Nationals take a 4-2 lead going into the bottom of the 5th inning with Nick Senzel up. And he gets a 1-7. That is going to be a strikeout. Third strikeout for Fedde. Lenny Sosa gets a 6-12. And that's going to be a fly to right field. The right fielder is a 3-E3. That is an 11. And that's going to be on the E3 error rating. It's a 7. And a 7 is a fly ball B. And that brings up Corey Lee. He gets a 3-9, and that's a single. Corey Lee today, 2 for 2. 5th hit allowed by Fedde. And top of the order with Nicky Lopez, 5-10. And that is going to be a fly to right. So we managed one hit, but no runs. Go to the top of the sixth. Top of the sixth inning with Luis Garcia up. He gets a 1-6. That is a single. Ninth hit allowed by Flexen. C.J. Abrams up. He gets a 1-3. That is also going to be a single. And we are not going to send the runner, I don't think. Let's see. Running 1-13. They're not going to send the runner. They're not going to push it. They're playing with house money, and they might as well just stand pat. Nelson Cruz is up. He gets a 4-11. And that is a ground ball, third base double play. So runner goes to third, but there's 2 outs. And that might have just saved Flexen from not leaving the game yet. Riley Adams is the batter. Gets a 4-11. And that is going to be a ground ball third, double play, just like the last one. Except it's not a double play because there was already 2 outs. So they get 2 hits, but manage not to score with those 2 hits as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Fedde maintaining a 4-2 lead, so he will stay out there. Luis Robert is the batter. He gets a 1-9. That is a strikeout. So Fedde strikes out his 4th man. He's pitching pretty well. Andrew Vaughn gets a 2-4. That is going to be, oh, he just misses a home run. He gets a double. Rips it off the wall for a double, just missing by inches. And Fedde allowing his 6th hit. Gavin Sheets, the batter. He gets a 3-11. That is a ground ball, second base C. It's going to move the runner over to third. And that leaves it up to Benintendi to come through for us here. He gets a 4-8, batting left. That is a walk. At least he keeps the inning going. I think that's the first walk issued by either pitcher. It is. And Dominic Fletcher is the batter now, and he gets a 4-5, batting left. That is going to be a full... No, it's a strikeout. So Fedde, with his 5th strikeout, he comes through in the clutch. No run score for us. We do manage to get a hit, but again, no run. We go to the top of the 7th. We're in the home stretch here. And we're going to take Flexen out. Yeah, we're going to do that. And take Flexen out of the game. So he pitches 6 innings. He allows 7 hits and... Oh, wait a minute. I put it in the wrong one. 6 innings, he allows 9 hits and 4 runs. And we will bring in Tanner Banks to pitch. And he will pitch to the top of the order, Robles, for the Nationals. 3-8 is a single. Tanner Banks is greeted by a leadoff hit. Let's see what Robles is stealing. He's a stealing A. He's going to try to steal second. And he makes it. So now there's a runner at second with no out and Lane Thomas up. And he gets a 3-11, which is a ground ball second base A. Would have been a double play, but Robles stole second on Corey Lee and bangs. Cesar Hernandez is up. He gets a 3-3. That is a walk. That is only the second walk issued in this game. And Yadiel Hernandez is up to 11. That is a ground ball second base C. Moves the runners over, but there's 2 down. And it brings up Luke Voigt, the first baseman. And he gets a 6-4. And that is going to be a ground ball to the shortstop. Our shortstop is a 3-4. That is a 19, probably an out. That is an out. So they don't score anything. They do get 1 hit and no runs. We're going to the bottom of the 7th in a 4-2 game. It's a pretty good game between 2 really horrible teams. And they're going to take Fedde out. So Fedde does go, he also goes 6. He allows 7 hits and 2 runs. Even though he's pitching well, we are dealing with today. So, you know, where pitchers come out really quickly. And they're going to put in Mason Thompson, who is actually pretty good. Mason Thompson in 2022 was 1-1 with a 292 earned run average. So they want to hold this lead. So Mason Thompson is out there, and he's going to deal, I think, yes, to Nick Senzel, because Fletcher struck out to end the last inning. And he gets a 1-9. This guy is a righty, so that is a strikeout. And, yeah, Thompson, Mason Thompson. With the strikeout. Brings up Lenine Sosa. 5-7. No, 5-6. 5-6. That's going to be a ground ball to the shortstop. 6-3. And Corey Lee, the man who is 2 for 2 today. Can he keep it going? 3-6. He absolutely can keep it going with a home run. Corey Lee goes deep. Let's see. Yeah, he goes deep. So Corey Lee, 3 for 3 today with a home run and an RBI. So Thompson was brought on to keep the White Sox at bay, and it doesn't work out that way. Nicky Lopez is the batter. He gets a 5-12, batting left. That's a ground ball to the first baseman. Their first baseman is a 4E23, and that's a 6. I like my chances of getting on there. Let's see. And that is going to be a single, yep. So Lopez is aboard with a hit, and Thompson gives up his second hit, which brings up Luis Robert. Now he's got some power. 4-5. That is going to be a ground ball shortstop. Wait a minute. Yeah, it's still going to. It's a ground ball shortstop. Their shortstop is a 3E15. That is an 11. That's going to be on the error rating for E11. 10. 10 is a ground ball A. So that is going to be the end of the inning. But we managed 2 hits there and 1 run. to make the score 4-3 going to the 8th inning. And Luis Garcia is batting for the Nationals. He gets a 2-9, that's a strikeout. So Banks with the K brings up C.J. Abrams, the shortstop. He gets a 6-8. That is a ground ball second base. So there's 2 down quickly here for the Nationals in the 8th, and Nelson Cruz, the batter, 6-2 is a single. Or wait a minute. Nope, I look in the wrong column. It's actually a walk. So Cruz draws a walk. Second one issued by Banks today. And Riley Adams, the batter, he gets a 2-11. That is a ground ball shortstop, and he is out. And that's a double play, but it isn't actually because there was already 2 outs, so he just goes out 6-3. No hits, no runs. Bottom of the 8th. It's getting late for us. We're down by a run, just a single run. And Andrew Vaughn will be the batter here in the 8th. Thompson's still out there. That is a 4-6, and that is going to be a, let's see, that is going to be a ground ball to the first baseman. Brings up Gavin Sheets. Gavin Sheets is going to be grounding out to first base, just like the previous guy, Vaughn, did. So there are 2 down, and Benintendi, the batter, he gets a 5-8. That is going to be a single. So Benintendi gets a hit off of Thompson. Dominic Fletcher is up. That is a 6-8. And that's going to be a ground ball to second. Their second baseman is a 3E15. That is a 7. So that is going to be a ground ball out. They got no runs, or we got no runs, but 1 hit. And I don't think Fletcher will be up next time. Nope, it'll be Senzel. We're going to take Banks out of the game. He pitched 2. Or did he? Yeah. Yeah, he pitched 2. We'll bring in someone else. We're going to bring in Brebbia, John Brebbia. And Victor Robles again, it seems like he leads off every inning. He gets a 6-11. And that is going to be a, let's see, that is an out. It is going to be a, line out. Lane Thomas gets a 3-6. That is a walk. So Lane Thomas is aboard. Brebbia walking a man. Cesar Hernandez is the batter. He gets a 5-6. That is a strikeout. So there's 2 down. And Yadiel Hernandez up. And that is a 3-9, and that is going to be a strikeout. So Brebbia holds them in the 9th. We have to get a run. They're going to take Thompson out. He pitched 2 really good innings, but he is only a 1-inning reliever in general. So they're going to bring in let's see. They're going to bring in Steve Cishek. He pitched 66 innings. He was 1-4 with a 421 earned run average. Of course, you know, this team was terrible, so there is no good reliever. There's no real good closer type guy out there. So we will write in Steve Cishek, however you pronounce that name. And we are going to go to work with Nick Senzel batting against him. He is a righty. Got a 3-9. That is a ground ball second. Now, Corey Lee will come up this inning. There's 1 out, and Lenine Sosa up. Lenine Sosa gets a single. So now our main man, Corey Lee, is the batter. Let's see if he can go 4 for 4, maybe even jack it over the wall here. He gets a 2-9. That is going to be a strikeout. So he did not do that. And Cishek got a strikeout on that, and there's 2 down. It's all up to the leadoff man, Nicky Lopez. And he's going to get a 212, which is a hit by pitch. So he moves up. He moves to first base. And Sosa goes to second. And Luis Robert. I mean, this is the man you want up, I guess. 5'7", batting right. That is a walk, and the bases are loaded for the White Sox. So here is everything you need to know. That we are really, this has been a very close game. You might expect that, but Andrew Vaughn is up, and he is a pretty good hitter. He gets a 4-8, and that is going to be a fly ball right field out. So we come very close, but we don't, no cigar. We had 1 hit there. So the final score turns out to be the 22 Washington Nationals won the game by the score of 4-3. The winning pitcher was Fedde, because he left with the lead and they never relinquished it. And the losing pitcher is Flexen. He gave up all 4 runs, and so yeah. So there you go, 4-3. You couldn't have asked for a closer game between 2 terrible teams than this one. And that will be it for me, Sportsman Z, Bob Zolke, signing off.